see if Reid can dodge a turn 1 reanimated Street Wraith here as we pick things up with a Thoughtseize from Andrew Beckstrom here on turn 1. Looks at a hand with Ponder, Force of Will, double Jace, Snapcaster Mage, and 2 lands.
Right. So here you can go for kind of multiple choices fundamentally, but I think the Snapcaster or the Ponder were the ways to go. The Snapcaster, you want to remove the 2-for-1 from Grixis control. The Ponder, you most likely want to strand your opponent with less lands.
Right, he does take the Ponder. And Reid just plays an island, says go. I think he drew a land. Very careful to not play the land he drew. Conceal as much information as possible from Andrew Beckstrom, who untaps and casts Brainstorm.
Yeah. That turn 2 Brainstorm is always sweet. It's setting up everything.
And especially with all the information you have off of that turn 1 Thoughtseize.
Right, yes. That sequence, getting the knowledge, getting rid of the card that matters, and then being able to sculpt your hand to be exactly what you need it to be, that combination is really what pushes this Death Shadow. Not just the cheap threat, but and it's why you would want to run the blue-black version of the deck rather than something like the blue-red aggressive decks that we might have seen earlier in the Legacy format.
And here we see a turn 2 Delver of Secrets from Andrew Beckstrom. And he's like, do you want to Force of Will this? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a semi-tough call. It's going to deal damage, but then again, yeah, Reid deciding to go for it. But then again, it's one of the easiest threats to be able to answer. It's just that you don't have an answer right now.
Right. And Andrew's just happy to get the 2-for-1 there.
Yeah. One thing that kind of punished Reid here, he wanted to conceal that Bloodstained Mire, but then had Reid played it, he would have been able to cast him to Turak this turn. That said, you might want to wait till turn 3 for him to Turak. You don't want to leave your opponent the easy out of simply dazing it. So I think Reid might have thought about all of this ahead of time and gone, even if I drew a turn 2 him to Turak, I would not cast it on turn 2. I would cast it on turn 3 when I can pay for a daze. So, yeah. It's true that Reid did not have the opportunity to cast it and could have, but Reid might have already planned ahead and gone, there's not a scenario where that will happen. So So that is a possibility.
All right, Andrew thinking through how he wants to resolve this Ponder.
The well-named Ponder, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Nobody's resolved that card too fast, except when you look and you're like, nope, go.
All right, another Delver of Secrets for Andrew Beckstrom.
Yeah, and I think Reid is correct to let this one resolve. Actually, there was only one Force of Will, but had Reid had a second, it would have made sense. Anyway, the way that Reid is going to come into this game and win is going to be him to Turak some key cards for Andrew Beckstrom, and then get a Jace in play and ride the card advantage machine to town.
Well, step 1, him to Turak.
Right. And with Andrew tapped out, the worst that could really happen here is either double daze or Force of Will. So basically that him to Turak is resolving.
All right. See the players just trying to figure out how they're going to determine a random number. There you go. And looks like that was...
Daze and Reanimate?
Oh, Reanimate, yeah.
Yeah, losing the Reanimate here can be pretty... There's no creature yet apart from that Delver of Secrets, but it's definitely probably one of the better cards that Andrew had access to.
Yeah. Snuff out on top of the deck for Andrew Beckstrom. We saw some of the lists have already evolved into Dismember. We've talked about that.
Yeah, Snuff Out it's an amazing card. Like, it's exactly what you want in the Death Shadow deck. 0 mana allows you to enable your game plan. But it's very bad if everybody's evolving towards blue-black mana bases because it just, like, the control decks don't care, fundamentally. In the mirror, you can't target a Death Shadow. It's non-black. You can't get an Angler, so that's why you see people play Dismember instead.
Here we see Kolaghan's command from Reid Duke targeting the Insectile Aberration and probably asking Beckstrom to discard a card.
Right, doing so on upkeep, leaving the minimum amount of options, making sure that if Andrew wants to use a Daze or something, the land is gone.
He's going to Force of Will it. Down to 2 cards in hand here after his draw step.
Yeah, and forcing here makes total sense.
But Here is a 1/1 Death Shadow.
Interestingly, that Force of Will enabling it. So had Reid waited, which I think would have been incorrect for them, really, then that thing would not be in play. Now, Death Shadow's in play, it's just a 1/1. This is going to be one of Reid's best opportunities to get rid of it, assuming that Reid can. And based on Reid's hand, there is Snapcaster Mage, Diabolic Edict, and Jace, and an unknown, which is probably not a land, since Reid would just play that card.
All right, he's going to lead off with an Edict here. Be curious to see which one Andrew Beckstrom picks. Wow, he's going to get rid of the Delver here.
Right. Right now, the Death Shadow is less of a threat, but any fetch land would make it humongous. And then Reid is down to trying to fail push. And then at that point, the Delver, the Insectile Aberration, or the Death Shadow could die. So I think Andrew is correct in this choice, but it's it's relatively close.
Knowing that he had a Brainstorm, which is maybe going to help him find one of the cards. Well, there's a Street Wraith.
I mean, I said free damage. It could be more. It probably will be, actually.
Yeah, there's a Verdant Catacombs. He's going to go for it.
Yeah, it's actually, wow, that was a perfect sequence. Street Wraith plus fetch land means that Reid is taking 6, and then next turn, this would be lethal damage. So wow. I mean, Andrew had to draw some pretty good cards here, but this was all set up. Oh, wow.
And a Gurmag Angler, which means the Jace in hand for Reid is not going to buy him the time he was hoping for. Still get him a turn.
Yeah, and this is a rough position. I mean, you could Jace minus bouncing one of these creatures, but you're still taking close to lethal damage or potentially dying. I think here Reid might be forced to... I mean, Snapcaster Mage here is actually really good. You get to go Snapcaster Diabolic Edict, which both buys you time and gets rid of a threat, so it's the right card here.
So he has to chump block here with Snapcaster Mage. Now he can deploy the Jace. Hope to deploy the Jace.
Yeah, I mean, if Reid doesn't have... Okay, the land is perfect here. It plays around days. There's actually not that many cards that the Death Shadow deck could have there. I think Stubborn Denial is basically it. So yeah, Jace gives you at least 2 turns. It gives you the first turn where you bounce. You could bounce again if you really have nothing and want to take minimal risk. I think Reid is considering, do I want to Brainstorm here and hope for an answer? Or do I just
risky.
Yeah, or do I just bounce and go, well, I'm okay with having one more turn and see what happens. But wait, what's the other... Is the other card in Reid's hand a Snapcaster Mage?
I'm not certain.
The thing is, even if it was, there's not really options in the graveyard that could easily combine with it. I guess Kolaghan's Command would be okay for card advantage. Yeah, and Reid's taking the safest line possible here.
So he brings Jace down to 1. Bounces the Death Shadow. Andrew replays it, but guess what? He's found another one. And Reid is in a world of hurt here. He's going to play a Snapcaster Mage.
That sequence, yeah, we're probably going to see Kolaghan's Command, discard, return Snapcaster Mage here.
Sure. One of the really exciting engines that you can get going with this deck.
It's very exciting, but you're facing 2 6/6s.
Sure.
So, well, something has to happen. So you definitely Kolaghan's Command here because it kind of resets your situation while making sure Andrew loses a card, and yeah, it just puts you a little ahead. Yeah, I think here with the days, Reid is forced to fetch. Andrew deciding probably to daze here simply because it gives him a card to discard. Plus, it forces Reid to use the fetch land right away.
Also, he's got a second daze.
Oh, that's an even better situation. Get rid of that Kolaghan's Command. And now Reid needs to draw something. But you get 4. You get to see 4 cards. I think here Reid has to Brainstorm, since bouncing a Death Shadow and losing the Jace is just not leading to any position where you might win this game. Or it would be unlikely, at least.
All right, well, he drew a Brainstorm.
Baleful Strix, fetch land, and Thoughtseize, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so Thoughtseize is not the most exciting card, but one option that Reid could have gone for here, besides the Brainstorm, but one option was to bounce Death Shadow and Thoughtseize it. It's a removal spell of sorts. We saw him do this earlier with him to Turak. But I think you need to keep the Jace alive, and between the Snapcaster Mage and the Baleful Strix, you have defense, so you're just hoping that it's good enough here.
Wow, goes down to 3 with his fetch land. He's holding another Brainstorm
Yeah. So
after all of this.
we're probably going to see Reid fire off, actually, that Brainstorm.
Yeah, I think so, after the shuffle.
Yeah, just try to get out of those free cards another Baleful Strix or a Snapcaster Mage plus Ponder.
He would love to see a Baleful Strix, and I think he found one.
Yeah, and a Kolaghan's Command, setting this game up. And this is the big difference between Death Shadow and Grix and the Grixis versions that came before. You're not playing Lightning Bolt, and that's it.
Wow, Reid Duke won that game.
I love how Andrew just went, okay, we're done. I'm not beating these Baleful Strixes.
That was insane. He was, one hit away. He had 1 loyalty left on his Jace. He got to look at 9 different cards over the course of that turn, or maybe 7 different cards.
It's still very impressive. that was an amazing sequence. A very impressive win.
Wow. Pyroblast on Delver of Secrets. Andrew's going to deploy a Ponder here on turn 2. Wow. I'm still trying to get over that game 1. Wow, that was just crazy.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, like that win, like you just sequence more Baleful... Buy time, get Baleful Strix. Realize that Baleful Strix is the way you deal with these large threats because they don't have trample, they don't have evasion, and you get ahead on cards as well. And that's the biggest reason to play Grixis Control. Essentially, Grixis Control is a great deck when that 1/1 Death Touch Flyer is a good card. If Baleful Strix is not a good card, then the deck is not very good. It really relies on that Baleful Strix engine.
All right. Verdant Catacombs is the turn 2 play for Andrew Beckstrom. And there is Reid Duke's Pet Strix.
Yep. And yeah, the fact that Andrew didn't have a Daze here means that, especially post-board, so there's one really great answer to it, which is Liliana the Last Hope. If Andrew can land a Liliana, then Andrew's quite far ahead.
It's been one of the most potent cards every time we've seen it in play this weekend.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised by this end of turn. I believe I saw Reid draw a card. So I'm a bit surprised by this since Andrew would likely still have Dazes in the deck. So I would at least believe that if your plan is to Brainstorm end of turn, that you would have done it in response to Strick. If only to conceal the fact that you might not actually Daze.
All right. Here is Verdant Catacombs. You think this is going to be Liliana the Last Hope here? He's eager to get his 3rd land into play.
Yeah, the body language tells me that there's potentially Liliana the Last Home coming down.
There it is. Does Reid Duke have a response? He does not.
Yeah, and Andrew was ready. I believe Andrew had a Force in hand, so Andrew would have fought over this Liliana. This is how good Liliana the Last Hope is. You're willing to sacrifice kind of a lot of resources to just make sure that Liliana lands. You're not trying to fight over anything else. Liliana the Last Hope against Grixis Control is that powerful. Yeah,
we saw Saito last round concede in the face of Liliana the Last Hope. He's like, well, the only things I can do are play 1 toughness creature for the next couple turns, and you'll just kill them.
Right. Yeah, it's just so good because the problem before we sideboard is that you can't deal with Baleful Strix cleanly. It requires a removal spell, which is just not a good exchange.
Wow. Great turn 4 here for Andrew Beckstrom.
Turn 3, turn 4 were both excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
Grimag Angler's a Fret. You can't play a Baleful Strix. You could. It just doesn't do that much.
Gets to play 3 spells here.
Yeah. And just look at how Andrew is attacking on every front. You got your 5/5 Fret. You've got a Flyer, an evasive creature, and you've got a Planeswalker. Fighting all of this is going to be near impossible for Reid.
All right, Reid, what do you got for us now? We've seen you in impossible situations multiple times today, and he's found a way out. This one seems really bad.
Right, we agree. There is a reason Reid has this 2 next to the name. That is that he is the 2nd highest ranked player in the world as of now.
The top ranked player being somewhere in the room as well, Seth Manfield.
I think rank 3 is also in the room.
Yes.
Yeah, right now we have Seth Manfield, Reid, and I guess Luis Salvato would be third if the Like, it's just incredible.
All right, here we see Kolaghan's command ticks Liliana down, forces Andrew Beckstrom to discard a card. He discards a Death Shadow.
And you might have missed, and if you're watching from home, you might have missed this. Reid decided to put Liliana down to free rather than killing the Delver of Secrets. I think Reid was trying to set up a situation where a Lightning Bolt could get rid of that Liliana, because otherwise Reid is going to be in too much trouble. So Reid accepts, well, Delver of Secrets will be a problem, but if I don't get rid of this Liliana, it's going to be almost impossible to win.
Well, here's another Kolaghan's command.
Oh my god. I just see what's... If I'm not mistaken, Reid has access to another Kolaghan's command in hand. So the plan is to triple Kolaghan's command down this Liliana.
Wow.
Yeah, here we see a massive attack. But yeah, what you can't see though, and you're gonna love this part, we're gonna hear Reid soon.
Hey Reid, welcome to the booth.
Hello everybody. Is this thing on?
It is now.
Hello everybody. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now Reid, we were just talking about a pretty bad spot you're in here. Insectile Aberration, Gurmag Angler, and Liliana. We've seen you resolve 2 Kolaghan's commands. What's your plan at this point in the game?
Well, I'm trying to kill Liliana the hard way.
Wow.
2 damage at a time. And what's tough about this is, like, I don't have any flexibility in how I sequence my spells. I really just have to cast a Kolaghan's command every turn, or else if I take a break, the Liliana is going to get out of range. So it's kind of like first things first, deal with the Liliana, then I'll worry about those creatures. So here, I kind of suspected he had Force of Will when he didn't cast the Ponder that he revealed to his Delver. And here I'm brainstorming in response, hoping to find either a Red Blast or a Lightning Bolt. Either of those would be really strong.
So the Kolaghan's command is successfully countered here.
Yeah.
Can you? I know you mentioned like you were kind of in a force play. Can you explain like what put you into this pattern and why you decided to commit free turns ahead? Because you thought about this obviously, and
yeah, Planeswalkers are a huge vulnerability for my deck. In particular, the ones like Liliana that can't be answered by either Elemental Blast. So I kind of just know that that's the plan for managing Liliana. Is sometimes you can get lucky and sneak in an end of turn Snapcaster or a Gurmag Angler. But generally, I'm just using burn spells, and the sooner I can do that, the better.
Okay, and that explains why you committed free turns and 9 mana worth of cards rather than trying to kill Delver of Secrets from the start. You're like, well, I can't win if this Liliana stays in play.
Yeah, precisely. Even if my life total is high, I kill off those creatures. I'm just going to lose to the Liliana if I don't put a lot of resources into managing her.
Oh, wow, another Gurmag Angler.
Yeah, so I was unhappy to see this because I actually had a very good Ponder. I found a Lightning Bolt, which could have killed the Liliana. It found a Diabolic Edict where I can start working on the Anglers, but now the third creature and 2 life puts me in a spot where I just can't really manage all 4 of those permanents at the same time.
All right, so you take down with the Bolt, the Delver, you get a Diabolic Edict against one of the Gurmag Anglers, and then you're forced to just
just nail
play
the
a
coffin.
Snapcaster Mage for no value into Daze there.
Yeah, and I had to do it that way. I couldn't put the Snapcaster into play ahead of time to play around Daze because then Liliana just picks it off. So was the only thing I could do is try to flash it in during combat.
Yeah, I do want to give you credit though for finding like that the sequence in game 1 to come back. Like I think game 2, like you were too far behind, but in game 1 you found the right sequence with the double Jace minus and the Baleful Strixes, and I liked how and Andrew just scooped to the double Baleful Strix.
And then looking at 7 cards in one turn there on that last turn.
Right. The Baleful Strix it's amazing because Grixis control like top decks pretty well. I have a lot of good draws as we've seen throughout the day, in playing off the top situations. But the most just feel bad from the opponent's perspective is when you play Baleful Strix and then find your best card. You just free roll the 1/1 death touches that replace themselves.
Talk to us about this hand that you kept. What are you thinking here?
Well, my opening hand is really strong. I have nice mana, which is step 1 against any kind of Daze Wasteland type deck, and I also have turn 2 Hymn to Turok, so I'm feeling like I have a good mix of lands and spells. I'm going to navigate through the early turns and maybe even get an advantage if I can resolve the Hymn.
How do you plan to use like Power Blast or Red Elemental Blast in match like this? Obviously, like killing Delver is great, but otherwise, what would you look to counter as a blue spell?
Well, it's tricky because the number one way the Delver deck can beat me is tempo, just getting ahead and capitalizing on my spells being a little clunky. So in the early turns, if I don't really have anything else to do with my mana, I'll happily just spend my reactive cards like Pyroblast and Flusterstorm on absolutely anything whenever I have a good window to do so. And then later in the game, if we actually get to a stable position, then I can have a little more flexibility in holding them for particular cards. But usually it's just any good spot.
Okay. And yeah, here are the famous one-mana Street Wraith.
Yeah, this is something you talked about one way you could get on the back foot in this matchup is a turn 1 Street Wraith being reanimated.
Right, because you can tell I have Pyroblast, I have Fatal Push, I have Kolaghan's Command. None of them answer a 3/4 that with converted mana cost of 5.
Lightning Bolt, Baleful Strix. It's just all sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this days must have been pretty. Oh my.
Yeah, so from how good I was feeling on turn 1, everything that could have possibly gone wrong has gone wrong.
Oh yeah, this was not a good sequence. I like that Andrew prioritized playing Wasteland over replaying the blue-black source and disrupting your mana and I guess holding pressure, right? And
I would agree. He sort of knows he has a big advantage with Street Wraith. He's savvy to how difficult that card is for me to answer, so he's happy to just sit on that one permanent and make sure nothing changes about the game state and he's going to win.
Well, now he's helped you, though. He's gotten rid of your swamps.
Yeah, it's true. Honestly, you never really would expect Street Wraith to be unable to attack in this matchup, but, you pointed it out. I have no swamps in play.
Oh, my. Maybe that second Wasteland might have... this is... Okay, please do not spoil what happens, but this is really fascinating. It's very easy when you... This is why it's important to reread your cards and re-understand what they do, because it's very easy to conflate an ability with another.
So now Andrew has to pump the brakes a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Or find an answer to your Baleful Strix.
And this gives you time to develop mana as well, because Andrew can't attack.
Well, he's going to Thought Seize you. Now, what cards are you looking to protect with your Brainstorm at this point, Reid?
Anything that can answer the Street Wraith. So at this point, my easiest way to do that is to double team a Lightning Bolt plus a Kolaghan's Command. So Lightning Bolt, I guess, is the most important card because it's the one that I only have one copy of, and it's the efficiently mana-costed one.
All right, so 2 Kolaghan's Commands, a Blast, and a Ponder, shown to Andrew with taunting him with the potential of a swamp.
And by the way, the card that I stacked second from the top was Fatal Push because I thought it would be nice to have the flexibility to wait and draw it if Andrew plays something like a Death Shadow or shuffle it away if the game is playing out to be more based around that Street Wraith or a Liliana, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I really like that you highlight, that was what you were thinking in the game, but I wanted to take the opportunity here to highlight how Brainstorm isn't just you always have to shuffle. You can put cards that are conditional and you may want and then decide to shuffle later. So, yeah, I think it's nice that we're seeing it in this game.
Absolutely.
Okay, Andrew recognized it's not quite unblockable.
All right. So Reid now a third land. There's a tapped Watery Grave for Andrew. What does that tell you when the Death Shadow deck is playing their Shocklands tapped?
Well, either that he isn't interested in casting Death Shadow, like maybe he doesn't have one in hand, or maybe he just knows it's not getting through the Baleful Strix regardless. But also he did see 2 Kolaghan's commands in my hand, so, he could be thinking about getting burned out. Doesn't look like the game's going to end anytime soon, so it is a situation where I think he has correctly identified that he should be a little bit careful with his life total.
Now, end of turn, you find yourself willing to give him a swamp here?
Yeah, it was a tough call. I was kind of happy with the holding pattern, but I knew my top card was Fatal Push, which wasn't going to be that helpful. And even though normally the stall favors Grixis, the fact that Andrew had been on the back foot and he played a Daze and then 2 Wastelands, he never really had any opportunity to play out his hand. So in this case, I sort of wanted to put the bottleneck to him of not having time to deploy his spells.
What were you thinking of when you drew that second bolt?
Well, I had prioritized hiding the first bolt. As we talked about, I thought it was one of my most important cards, being efficient and potentially an answer to Street Wraith. But now I'm just thinking, hey, I have a lot of options available to me. Baleful Strix is not on defense anymore, and his life total is getting pretty low, so we'll just pass a turn and see how it develops.
And also you pondered the infamous Ensnaring Bridge?
Yes. That's a good answer to Street Wraith.
So you morphed into the very old burn control decks with Grafted Skullcap and Ensnaring Bridge.
Right.
All right, well, here's Liliana, the Last Hope. And that's going to take care of your Baleful Strix.
And your hand is Kolaghan's command, Lightning Bolt, or?
Right.
Ooh.
Andrew had to fetch down to 8.
Bolt you.
And you're playing around Daze
Bolt
by playing this way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then Kolaghan's command.
And bingo.
Wow! Wow, that was what a plan.
Everything's coming up Reid Duke today. Reid, I don't know, we mentioned this earlier, but where are you going to dinner tonight? Because we are going to follow you into the restaurant with the camera crew and watch you.
We'll probably be the 1 millionth customer at Applebee's or something like that. And yeah.
Wow, Reid Duke, 7-0 here with 1 round to go. It's got to be, what do you expect when you come into a tournament? You've made your deck choice. Do you expect to be at this point 7-0? Is that like, do you fantasize, or do you have some more realistic expectations about where you'll be at this stage of the tournament?
Well, you know that, you play a lot of Grand Prix per year. Eduardo, I'm sure you can sympathize with this, and you just sort of put yourself in a position where you hope to capitalize on a lucky weekend. So, relatively speaking, I was pretty confident going into this tournament. I ate, slept, and breathed Legacy for 3 weeks before Pro Tour 25th anniversary because I was in the Legacy seat there. I really liked my deck at the Pro Tour. I've been playing it online since then and doing pretty well. So I came in with a high level of confidence, relatively speaking, but you never expect to go undefeated for even 4 rounds. And also, let's not forget, we're still early in the tournament, so it's a good start, but it's not really time to get excited yet.
Right. There's still 8 rounds to go, and you had free buys. You've gone 4-0 so far, but you still have 8 rounds to play, and but when you start 7-0, 4-0, it's pretty good.
Can't complain.
I can't tell you we have some more Time Walk magic. Reid, you're welcome to stay with us or go get a glass of water if you need to. But we are going to watch Owen Turtenwald versus Sam Black here. Game 3 of Stoneblade versus Lands.
Yeah.
Sam Black, of course, on the Lands deck.
Misty Rainforest is a pretty, how shall we, subterfuge way to hide that you're on lands. Since it can mean a number of things, but your first thought is probably not the card Sheltered Thicket.
There's a Sheltered Thicket from Sam Black. And Delver of Secrets was the play from Owen Turtenwald. Do we have those deck lists, or?
One thing that's really interesting is Owen cast Delver of Secrets off Island, and that should already ring alarm bells in Sam's mind. Because it's a very unusual sequence in Legacy. Normally it's blue dual into Delver, but just basic Island means that Owen is not likely to be on, one of these normal tempo Delver decks.
So Richmond Port there for Sam Black. And He's going to tap that island. During upkeep. Take one from the Delver of Secrets.
It didn't look like much here, but Sam also waited for the upkeep trigger to resolve before tapping the land.
Yeah.
We were almost always going to tap the land, let's be honest.
Yeah. So there's a second copy of Richmond Port. Won't be able to utilize that until next turn.
And yeah, I mentioned earlier the basic island and Delver. It's worth noting the players in this match are 1-1, so this is like for all the marbles, but Sam is very aware of what Owen's doing, and that's why you might have spotted that Krozen Grip in Sam's hand.
So it looks like True Name Nemesis, Force of Will are the relevant cards in hand for Owen Turnwald here. As he pecks away for one.
The Delver of Secrets still hasn't found the answer. It's trying. It's delving.
And there's a Maze of Ith.
You remember that card.
I do. Oh, and here's Tireless Tracker. This is a card I think of very, very much as a Sam Black card.
Oh, yeah, the value Fred engine. Tireless Tracker was one of those cards that, I don't know, I always feel a warm, fuzzy feeling with it.
Oh, absolutely.
What wasn't talked about, though, here, and that might be important, is that Owen had the opportunity to force and decided not to.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes that Owen, I think the only blue card in Owen's hand would have been that True Name Nemesis. And
he has two forces.
Two forces, okay.
Yes, he has two forces and a True Name Nemesis.
Okay, so Owen believes that he can win even though this Tireless Tracker is likely to get card advantage. He also has access to he just drew a Jace the Mind Sculptor there?
I think so, yeah.
Hence why Delver of Secrets did not flip. Oh, wow.
Oh, how about a Back to Basics?
Wow, that is a powerful card.
Oh, maybe that was... No, yeah, and wow, look at this. Back to Basics.
Well, these clues aren't going to help much, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what that Krozen Grip was all about, I think, for Sam Black.
Yeah, and the deck plays like Stoneforge Mystic as well, hence the name Blade. And Stoneplay, right? You usually try to combine equipment with True Name Nemesis, so that's why you have Stoneforge Mystic. But yeah, this Back to Basics is incredible. And yeah, well, I mean, you have to get that basic force now. Additionally enough, Sam is really far from Krozen Grip just because Maze of Ith came before a time where all the lands had to tap for mana.
Yes. You cannot tap that land for mana without the help of an Urborg. And there's an Insectile Aberration thanks to a little help from a Ponder on top of Owen's library.
Yeah, the Delver of Secrets finally found the secrets. Yeah, I think here Owen will probably slam Jace. It could be True Name for pressure, but slamming Jace and bouncing Tireless Tracker is pretty powerful here.
All right, here is Jace. He's just going to bounce the Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, and here Sam is basically locked for 2 turns. Sam needs to go land, pass, Krozen Grip, the Back to Basics, and do things that probably have to be very unfair to catch up.
Here we see Owen committing his Tundra.
Yeah, that Tundra couldn't untap, and they were just
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You put in cards like Back to Basics to fight what your opponent does, but you do kind of have to remember it is a symmetrical card.
Symmetrical is in air quotes, people.
Yeah, like balance, remember? There's a reason that card is not playable in Lazy.
Every time someone's cast an Armageddon against you, it was perfectly fair.
Neither of us has lands.
Take 10.
Right, but I think Owen here will have 2 turns of uninterrupted action, which is really powerful. And with Jason play, it's a lot harder for Sam to try and interact. Owen also has a lot of basic lands in play, which it's not just about the synergy with Back to Basics. It also means that Sam cannot wasteland and port Owen easily.
All right, here's True Name Nemesis. And here's another Delver of Secrets.
Pressure.
Like, I want to untap.
Pressure. Ooh, choke.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of cards that are brutal. I think with Sam under pressure, though, you're going to have to Krozen Grip first. That choke would have been exceptional before that Back to Basic came down.
All right, but Sam is under a ton of pressure here. We're going to another Force of Will. Going to flip another Delver of Secrets into Insectile Aberration. Going to cast Ponder to go digging. He's got the full play set of forces if he wants it.
I think yeah.
He's had enough.
I think it's interesting that Owen decided to play Ponder before brainstorming with Jace, assuming Owen brainstorms with Jace, since Ponder does provide a shuffle effect. But it might be that Owen just simply wants to have access to more cards before brainstorming. Since Owen's not too concerned about being brainstorm locked, since the game is probably going to end very quickly. At least in Owen's view. Owen probably feels super safe, right?
We've got a little bit of a glitch here.
And that Ponder glitched the Matrix?
Yeah.
The screen may not untap. Was that what happened?
Yes. We've back to basics in our screen.
Oh, that's not good. Wait, Sam, come on. Crash your Grozen Grip. We need the screen to start moving again.
We're going to get a slow play warning here on the monitor.
Yeah. But yeah, if... Okay.
Okay, well, I can tell you that we do have a slight technical difficulty. We're not going to be able to bring you the rest of this match, but that 9 points of creatures on the board is going to be enough for Owen Turtenwald to win this match, go to 7-0, potentially face off against his teammate and good friend, Reid Duke, in round 8. As the number of undefeated players in the room has just obviously contracted to a very, very small number.
We can actually see Owen there. Hi, Owen.
Owen's like, yeah, I played so well, I broke the screen. I destroyed it. I literally broke it. That's what every Magic player aspires to do, and he did it.
Right. Well, break the screen.
Not the first time this screen has been broken this weekend, but...
It's okay. I mean, we got to see, I think, this round... Like an incredible comeback from Reid in his first match. He played. I love
unbelievable.
I love the sequences that he had to go for. I like that we
saw even the game that he lost. The sequence was fascinating.
Yeah, understood what he had to do, and I really liked as well Sam Party's deck, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think he's going to go far into this tournament.
All right. That is it for round 7. One more round left in the Duke-a-Palooza before we follow him to dinner. Don't go anywhere. One more round here at Grand Prix Richmond on day 1.